The Fundo Primo shower base is our most widely used shower base today. With a variety of sizes and drain locations, these shower bases can be field customized to fit almost any shower configuration. Our installer will be installing the Fundo Primo on a 3/4 inch plywood substrate with 16-inch on-center joists. Perimeter blocking on top of the base plate is also recommended. Please consult with your dedicated Weedy Technical Sales Support Manager if you encounter different framing and/or substrates than this. All Weedy shower bases can be installed on concrete substrate as well. A 5-inch diameter hole around your 2-inch pipe is needed for the Primo installation. It is always ideal to have your 2-inch pipe plumbed above the subfloor so an accurate cut can be made. The pipe will have to be either flush or no more than 1/8 of an inch above the subfloor. Our installer is using a 2-foot square and an oscillating tool to cut the pipe. The square provides a clean, even cut, about 1/8 of an inch above the subfloor. Clean the pipe of any remaining burrs or debris. It is now time to customize the Fundo Primo to ensure a perfect fit. Measure from the center of the drain pipe to the framing in all directions in order to accurately cut the shower base. Ensure these measurements add up to your shower's overall dimensions. From the back side of the Primo base, mark the center of the drain so the dimensions can be accurately translated to the base. Measure away from the drain and mark where the base will have to be modified on each side. Use a straight edge to connect these points. Using a circular saw, simply cut the shower base to size. Be sure to use all necessary PPE, such as safety glasses, ear protection, and a dust mask. Dry fitting the shower base now before channels are cut is a good idea, in case minor adjustments need to be made. Ensure that it fits tight into the framing and the pipe is centered on the shower base drain. Working now from the top of the Primo shower base, mark 1/2 inch from the perimeter on the modified sides. Draw a line from end to end. Set the depth of your circular saw to 1/2 of an inch. Run a depth cut from end to end of the shower base carefully following your line. Measure a 1/2 inch down from the center of the shower base. Make a mark. Now, measure up from the bottom of the base to the mark you just made and keep the same measurement all the way across. Using a straight edge, mark a line. It is very important to keep the channel level with a minimum depth of 1/2 inch. Use a sharp utility blade and in a few passes, cut through until the depth cut and the side cut meet. You may have to deepen the depth cut in places where the channel will be greater than 1/2 inch. Use your utility knife to fix any imperfections in the channel. Modified channels may be deeper than the channels from the factory edge. The Weedy Fundo Primo shower base utilizes our click and seal drain system. When the Primo is ready to be installed, the first step is attaching the drain body. Remove all internal components from the drain body. These will be used later for the installation. When installing the drain body on the underside of the Fundo Primo, first apply a small amount of the included lubricant to the entire surface of the rubber gasket on the drain body. You will then place the drain body into the threaded drain area of the shower base and simply turn clockwise until you hear a click. Ensure the drain is properly threaded and sitting evenly. Through the top, ensure the single hash marks on the drain body line up in between the double hash marks on the shower base. This will indicate a proper drain body installation. The base is now ready for installation. Before installation, ensure the entire substrate is clean of debris and ready to receive thinset. Using a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square notch trowel, apply modified thinset to the substrate. Applying thinset on both the base and the substrate with a 1/4 by 1/4 notch trowel is also acceptable. First, burn in your thinset with the flat side of the trowel. Use directional troweling to ensure proper coverage. You will also use the flat side of the trowel to back butter the undersides of the Fundo Primo shower base. A modified thinset is always recommended when installing a Wedi shower base. Gently lay the base into the shower area and make sure the pipe lines up and protrudes through the drain area of the base. To ensure proper coverage, walk on top of the pan starting from back and slowly force out any air still beneath the base. Apply weight to the corners and drain area while the thinset cures. Use a damp sponge to clean out any of the thinset that may have squeezed up into the base's channel. Using the internal drain components from earlier, you will apply lubricant to the sealing gasket. Place the gasket around the pipe and set it fully to the bottom of the drain body. Next, add lubricant to the inside gasket of the compression spacer. Install this spacer around the pipe and on top of the sealing gasket already in place. Now, using a counterclockwise direction, thread the locking key in place and tighten fully with the strainer key and a flathead screwdriver. The strainer key remains in place to provide a convenient hair catch for the end user. Wedi building panels are 100% waterproof and provide excellent strength and protection for tile installations. The installer is using Wedi's 4x5 1/2-inch building panels. After ensuring the framing is plumb and studs are no further than 16-inch on center, measure for the first panel. Dry fitting the panel is a key step. Place the 1/2-inch building panel into the channel and against the studs. With a marker, mark a line where the Primo shower base meets the building panel. Also, make marks on the studs just above the building panel. This will confirm that the panel was fully seated in the channel. Wedi shower installations use our joint sealant in and on top of all seams for adhesion and waterproofing. This install will feature our 20-ounce sausage, but it is also available in a 10-ounce cartridge. Proper amount and use of the Wedi joint sealant is key to every successful install. Ensure all rabbet channels are free of any debris before using the Wedi joint sealant. This is an important step to ensure it creates a strong seal between the Wedi base and building panel. The installer applies a continuous 1/2-inch by 1/2-inch bead of sealant through the entire length of the channel. The building panel is positioned and seated in the 1/2-inch channel, compressing the joint sealant. The marks the installer made on the studs earlier help ensure the building panel is fully seated in the 1/2-inch channel. The Wedi shower system uses screws and washers for anchoring of the building panels directly to studs. Do not use any adhesives to glue the building panels to studs. It is also important not to place any screws and washers lower than 12 inches from the shower base. Starting at 12 inches, the installer anchors the building panel every 12 inches at every stud location. Countersink the fasteners until the entire edge of the washer is sunken slightly below the face of the building panel. Remove any squeeze out of the sealant with the putty knife. We will also apply a second bead of sealant later in the installation. Dry fit the second panel. Apply a continuous 1/2-inch bead of sealant along the edge of the already installed first building panel. The second panel is positioned and installed, compressing the 1/2-inch bead of sealant between the two panels. A screw and washer will be placed in the seam for flush anchoring. Continue every 12 inches on every stud. Use a putty knife to flatten any squeeze out in the seam. When measuring and cutting the Wedi building panel for the sidewall, it is important the panel goes past the Wedi shower base far enough that the curb will fit in between. It is recommended the building panel go to the outer face of the curb. Using a utility knife, simply score through the top cementitious layer and mesh, snap the panel, and cut the remaining layer of mesh on the non-scored side. Make a notch on the building panel that will allow the panel to rest in the channel and also around the edge of the base. This will ensure there are no voids behind the curb. A utility knife or keyhole saw makes cutouts for plumbing and valves simple and easy. Dry fit the panel using the same procedure as earlier and mark. Ensure there are no gaps where the building panels meet. This time, sealant will also be applied vertically in between the panel being installed and the building panels already installed. Ensure a tight fit into the channel and against the existing panel. Begin anchoring in the corner on a slight angle to maintain compression. Then, anchor the building panel with the screws and washers every 12 inches like before. In the corners where the panels meet, offset your washers so they do not create a void. Always remember to flatten any sealant that is squeezed out. Repeat this process to install the remaining weedy building panels. The installer is using a 2-inch lean curb for this Primo installation. Measure for the length of the curb. This should fit tight from wall to wall. Measure the distance from the substrate to the channel on the Primo base. This will be the size of the channel needed on the lean curb. Use a circular or handsaw to cut the curb to length. Measure the channel on the lean curb for modification. Larger bases will require a deeper channel to properly seat in to the base's channel. With a utility knife and straight edge, cut and remove the foam. Dry fit the curb in place. Be sure your substrate is clean and ready for the curb installation. Apply a 1/2-inch bead of sealant to the channel of the Primo base. Where the end of the curb meets each wall, apply sealant. You will also apply a bead of sealant in a snake-like pattern to the subfloor. The lean curb can be installed with thinset or sealant to the subfloor. A third continuous bead of sealant will also be applied to the curb channel. Position the curb in place and apply pressure to compress the sealant. Use a small level to ensure the face of the curb is plumb. This will maintain the factory slope of the weedy curb. Remove any sealant squeeze out with the putty knife. Now it is time to apply a second and final bead of the joint sealant to the seams and fasteners. Working in sections, apply a 1/2-inch bead of sealant to all seams in the shower assembly. When working on an inside angle, use the corner putty knife to flatten the sealant. It is important that the sealant flattens to a minimum of 1 inch past the seam in both directions at a thickness of about 1/16 of an inch. Use a flat knife for the flat seams. The same flat knife will be used for the screw and washer locations. Apply sealant to the fasteners and flatten the sealant, ensuring it goes past the washer 1 inch in all directions. It is recommended to address the plumbing penetrations in a weedy shower with a Flexicollar for the valve area and a waterproof sealing collar for the shower head. The installer will use sealant for the collars. Apply a few beads of the sealant and flatten it with a putty knife. Attach the collars and ensure the membrane flange is completely embedded into the sealant. After measuring for the thickness of your tile assembly, cut off the extra threads of the extension collar. This will still provide plenty of adjustability even when all the perforated threads are removed. Clean any debris from the drain area prior to the installation of the 2 rings and extension collar. Place the alignment ring 1 in place, followed by the snap ring 2, lining up the indicators on both rings. This will screw into place. Be sure to adjust to the correct height before tile is installed around it. The drain cover then gets placed on top of the extension collar. The weedy click-in sealed drain allows for movement of the drain cover, 3/16 of an inch in all directions. This will provide for perfect drain cover placement when installing tile. The Fundo Primo is the perfect solution for almost any tiled shower. For more information or further education, reach out to your local technical sales support manager.